What up, my freaks? RuinousInsight here with part 81 of my Total Warhammer 3 Boris Ursus and Urognes and Noviev campaign. So as we saw last time, Serena Catherine with her new army, or her completed now army, has moved down on the road to Castle Drakenhof and Sylvania. We have destroyed pretty much the main forces of the Sylvanians, it looks like, judging by the fact that they have no balance of power in terms of the, the comparison of the two bars there. So we should, with reasonably decent ease, I would think, be able to take the rest of this. I guess the only potential issue is if our allies here move in and try to grab all this from us while we're distracted, essentially, which would be quite unfortunate. I'm almost tempted to maybe even request this army and borrow it. It's not like we're really doing anything with the allegiance with this particular faction. In fact, if we take a look, this is Ostermark. Ostermark, you can't make anything other than the Demigriffs, and I suppose Outriders if we should desire to make Outriders instead of War Sleds, which I'm not really seeing. Nah. This might be a decent use of our legions, and as you guys have reminded me not to forget the outposts, I think there's no reason to upgrade anything yet. They're all at level 2 now. I think we'll keep them to level 2 until hopefully somebody gets gets something along the lines of Wissenland, which where they've got a lot of access to a lot of different stuff, basically. Because right now everybody really only has Demigriffs, which are great. Don't get me wrong, but I really don't see the need to just put Demigriffs in all of our armies when we can just use Warbears. It's the artillery that I want more than anything else, both from the dwarfs and from the Empire. Anyway, yeah, I basically just convinced myself, you know what, let's grab you, Luther Meyer. You're gonna be on our side. We're gonna march you out here, and we're gonna hopefully use you to capture one of these things without having to have Serena Catherine bother. And then we will do that with both of these armies together, while Serena Catherine moves in and hopefully attacks Castle Drakenhof. I might even send this army out here to destroy Bloodfeaster. Because somebody has to do this, and they're just going to keep annoying us and raiding. I mean, if we were able to send you, Vladimir Talov, down to Waldenhof instead, you could grab this and Osterwald. Although I'm probably getting a little bit ahead of myself now, aren't I? Oh, also, while we're talking about diplomacy, we have a quest here. Let's just see. Cristallo. And oh, look, is it the same one? It is the same one. Okay, you know what? If we're going to accept this, yes. I accepted that, right? Yes. Perfect. Alrighty, Ungrim. Finally, a decent mission that we can easily access, as opposed to somebody super far away. Also, I got distracted. Last time, we left off with Beledna the Defender ready to go in a massive cinematic battle against the ogres that are sieging Erengrad, which we're going to get to as soon as we complete all the other admin work and such that we have to do. Because I'd like to generally separate that sort of stuff so that we don't just go massive amounts of admin, but admin and battle and then admin, as you guys I'm sure have seen at this point in the game. Also, the Ice Court. Let's get a couple more witches in here. You're going to be a good lord, and we're probably going to make an army out of you. Also, ooh, the Realm of Chaos is coming down in one turn, so our income is going to drop. And the Brutal Business is about gone as well. Ooh, you know what? If the Brutal Business is about to be gone, let's have you guys maybe attack Navkazi. In fact, just looking at this, I think maybe we just auto-resolve this. Let's be real here. This is not going to be an interesting battle. In fact, it's just going to be us wasting like 20 minutes standing outside, well, maybe not 20 minutes, like 10 minutes, standing outside the enemy fortifications and just hitting them with masses of Kossars. I think we can find much more interesting battles with like Beledna and that sort of thing. Plus, it's actually going to kill some units though. Oh wait, you know what? We were going to delete a lot of these units anyway. Let's just auto-resolve this. Screw it, we got better battles to come. And then we will obviously occupy the place. Campaign line of sight, Akshina Informant, Speed of Lycos, Warhorse, Province secured. Alright, Navkazi. We are not going to level you, we're going to level Yetchich, and then we'll level you up next. You are going to need walls, but also dyes. Do we start dyes or markets? You know what? This is faction-wide, so we'll start with the dies, and we'll follow up with a palisade after that. Let's also awaken the land, and then we have to decide who of these two are going to keep. Generally speaking, I tend to think that the Ice Witches are just the better lord than the Boyars. Yeah, the Boyars are better melee fighters, but these guys have some nice traits, and that the Boyars don't really. I mean, granted, you don't have very nice traits, but you do have Economist, and if we're gonna have somebody sit in the Frozen Landing, it should probably be somebody with a money-making buff. You know what, I like that idea. Let's have you transfer your troops over to Svetlana. We might even replace her with something else, in fact. And then we'll transfer these guys back like so. Then what we'll do is we'll have these guys deleted, so we don't waste our money anymore. Then we'll have Masya march stance all the way up to Sioktraken, and then we'll have him grab Sioktraken. Also, we could probably take away all his stuff because he doesn't need it anymore. None of this. Tax collector, war banner. Yeah, you don't need any of this. All right, there we go. We might bring him back at some point, but you know, not right now. Svetlana. We could probably assign some of your skill points, but maybe we'll do that in a bit, as in a bit later. Then Urogny. Now, I guess the question. Oh wow, you're actually quite hurt, aren't you? We should probably move you in uncamp stance. The question really is, where do we move you? There is an army here. Pinfork's the Truescent. We could send Alexandra Costina after you. They're about the same distance away. Because Alexandra Costina could go up here and take stuff from the Mountains of Morn, which we really do want because there's a ton of stuff to upgrade our markets. Whereas Urogny could go here and start attacking the Sarl. Though that'll mean, you know, more enemies coming down here, but still not horrible. Also, it would be nice to have this entire province, increase the growth, and thereby level Krakadrak better. Most likely we'll need at least 2 armies, one essentially permanently in the Frozen Landing, and then one essentially permanently around here, although, once again, I'd love to send Urogny north, but somebody still has to deal with all this, especially while Boris is busy down south. You know what? Yeah, we'll send Beledna. Or Alexandra Costina, rather. After Pinforks. You know what, now that I'm thinking about it, what we could also do, like, the Frozen Landing is not gonna fall, at least not to a single stack. This stack is nearly full, and it's got some nice stuff. If the Frozen Landing isn't gonna fall, the Temple of Heinkel is the only place that's under risk. What we could do is summon a temporary lord here. If Pinforks attacks it, then the temporary lord will be of use and can hold it for a while. Of course, that'll mean not putting you here. We could do both, in case the army gets destroyed. You know what? I feel like we put a temporary lord here. That might dissuade this army, essentially, from attacking. You're not very good, Svetlana Horoshko and Evelina Bebchuk. We're gonna keep you, you're actually pretty nice. Let's take you, Svetlana. We'll put you in the Temple of Heinkel. Oh, don't tell me you got a warhorse. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Could have had a warbear, got a warhorse for nonsense reasons. Then we'll take Ice Maiden's Kiss, obviously Guardian's Call, Frost Shield, Ice Sheet. Temporary Lord, so it doesn't really matter what we spend the stuff on. Get 2 points in Ice Sheet because it's a great ability. Magical Reserves, Heart of Winter. Another point in Heart of Winter and Arcane Sanctuary. I would like to get Ice Maiden's Kiss and to another level, and possibly Inspiring Presence as well. But Arcane Conduit is quite nice too. You know what, let's get another level in. What's the likelihood that we actually use Heart of Winter though? Probably not going to use Crystal Sanctuary. You know what, let's go 1, 2... Oh, this will be all of our points. Which means no extra point in Ice Maiden's Kiss or Inspiring Presence. Still. You have 50 Winds of Magic Reserve. Alright, and then we will get you some Cossars. Let's say 6. If this guy attacks here... Oh, he's got another Flamer. Oh, no, high-level Flamer at that. If he attacks here, at least we'll have a mage. Do we want to maybe give you some stuff? I don't know whether you'll get attacked, but now that I've committed to this, I feel like we should probably get some stuff in here. Not really any items, because you're probably going to lose them. Scarecrow banner, actually. Considering there's a lot of flying units, and I don't see anybody else really using these. Various kinds of discipline pennants might come in handy, actually, because I don't really care about losing them if you die. And more importantly, they can be transferred to the garrison to increase, you know, their ability to not die. Get a war banner as well. We have plenty of those. What do step shepherds do? Growth. Who cares? Swiftness will ignore all that. Although, wait, how many of these? Nah, we don't have a lot of them. Ah, you know what? If we take a standard of the empty step, that would give us Vanguard deployment on another unit that might be useful. Why not? Anything else useful here? I doubt it. Ritual Enforcer, Servant, Enemy Hero Success Chance, Tax Collector for a turn. You know what? Just take the Tax Collector. Yeah. And then speaking of Tax Collectors, while you're here, we will take Svetlana, and we'll give her both a Tax Collector and a Toll Keeper. Wait, what? Oh yeah, we got both of those now in combination with Economist, and then you can go to Frozen Landing and increase the money that we make from it, or possibly to Siok Track and Crack a Drag, depending on how much money that thing ends up generating later. Alrighty, I like that. And this will mean that we don't necessarily have to send Alexandra Christina here. I'm hoping. It really depends on who you attack. I hope you don't attack the Temple of Heinkel. It also really depends on what's in here. I mean, honestly, if there's a couple soul grinders in here, these guys would probably... The Temple of Heinkel would likely fall. Maybe we send Alexandra Christina here anyway? Is there anything up here that she could attack? I mean, she could maybe destroy Darko Wharf, but I really wanted to send her out to the Saneshi Rebels here. Do we risk it? No, I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna risk it and not send her after the Tzeentchins. Go here. And, oh, hello. Speaking of Tzeentchins, whoa. Oh, damn, did I move too far? No. 33, eh? And we could go up to 29 by moving slightly forward. Going into ambush stance and maybe destroying this. Probably getting the plague in the process. Oh, well. Oh, well. Maybe that'll work out. And, ooh, Ataman, yes. I think the location where we want to send our next Ataman is the High Pass, right? Because we took an Ataman away from there last time. So, Ptor Krosny, with the +5 money, is the best option. Yes, High Pass. There we go. You were only Ataman less for a few turns there, High Pass. You don't have to worry. Now, oh, also, that reminds me, there's been a few comments about the techs over the last couple of episodes that I just want to briefly address. So some of you guys have said that the Kislevian Ducat is a useless tech, and it gives us 0 money, because income from trade goods producing buildings plus 100% does nothing, because the Kislevite trade good producing buildings don't actually generate cash, which is interesting. I can see that these things don't generate cash. However, I am curious enough to see whether this actually does absolutely nothing, and I'm going to keep it up. I'm just going to pay attention to when we complete the tech and see if that changes our money situation. And the reason for that is, while most resource-producing buildings don't actually generate money, gold mines are technically of the same tree, as in they're quote-unquote resource producing, even though they don't actually produce any resources, they just produce money. So maybe this does have an effect on gold mines. Now granted, we only have the one, I think, in our entire massive empire. But hey, it'll be a reason to try to go for another one, like the Great Hall of Greasus, and I think there's another one somewhere over here that we... Oh, now that you guys have the Wolfenberg. Well, there is one at Sylvania, or in Castle Drakenhof, rather. And then in addition to that, now that I think about it, the Erengrad Harbor also produces a bunch of different types of resources and generates money at the same time. Now, does this count as a resource-producing building? I'm not sure, but it would be very strange, in my opinion, for this technology to do absolutely nothing, so I'm curious to see if it actually does anything. We'll see. We'll find out. Anyway, I believe that's pretty much it, and we're ready to fight some ogres, unless there's... Well, I guess there's probably a few buildings that we need to build. Yeah, alrighty, let's do this. Let's build some buildings and we'll fight. Ostland, oh wait, that's, well, Bosenfels. We don't need to upgrade the outposts as yet. Kislev, you don't really need growth. Our growth is pretty great here, so let's just go for the market square, and we'll be tearing down all of these growth buildings shortly in the Eastern Oblast as well. Just gotta remember to do so. Goromadny, you know what, Frozen Landing, this is gonna be up here, it's gonna bother me, so we're just gonna upgrade it. Kislev, yes, upgrade that watch house to a watch garrison. High Pass, 7k for this, ugh. Okay, these are easy upgrades. 7k. You do generate decent amounts of cash, High Pass. Just for 5% though. 7k. You know what? Fine. Fine. I'll do it, but I'm not happy about it. We should also probably try to take a look at some territories to double check whether this needs to move away. Nah, you should keep this. Yeah. No, it looks like everything's awakening the land, so I think we're good. Alrighty, so if we're good, then there's only one thing to do. Baledna the Defender, it is time to fight Scrag in a cinematic battle. You guys all have your points spent, so let's attack. We'll be drawing out our garrison, yes. And we could Lightning Strike in theory, but I think I'd rather have the bigger battle. Oh, this actually increases our casualties, eh? Fair enough, and ooh, it looks like we have a fairly decent advantage in terms of Winds of Magic. They have 25, and we have the max 100. Lovely. All right, let's give this a try. Cinematic battle time. Stop sieging Baledna the Defender's territories, damn it.
They will die by blade and by frost, their bodies forgotten in the snow.
I'm gonna say that that's a half-truth. Yes, they will die, but it probably won't be so much by blade and frost as it will be by bullet and cannonball. Speaking of, it looks like the enemy has brought 2 of its Nobler scrap launchers here, but we're obviously going to focus them down with artillery. I'm generally pretty excited about this battle. Baledna's had a lot of these massive fights against huge ogre forces, and she's definitely come out well ahead each time. So I'm pretty confident in this, especially as the enemy has not brought any stone horns that we need to gun down before they breach our lines. Anyway, I've also learned my lessons with regards to, you know, not underestimating the Nobler scrap launchers, and in that, like, unlike previous battles, I've actually hidden basically our entire force in the forests here so that they cannot be attacked by those Nobler scrap launchers while our little Groms and our great cannons focus them down. Also, it's a pretty good map. The enemy actually has to ford this little river, so that'll slow them down as they cross, although this will, I suppose, protect them from some gunfire, as they do have this little bit of a hill protecting them. But afterwards, they do have to march into our guns across a relatively open field. Plus, on top of that, their garrison, or their reinforcements, not garrison, are relatively far away, so we'll have plenty of time to bombard them with our artillery before they get here. In fact, we could probably switch off firing on this army as soon as the second one arrives and this one charges for us. Depending on what the enemy does, I suppose if it moves back to consolidate, then it'll be different, but you know, that'll still favor us because our little Groms completely outrange their artillery. Alrighty, well, the first of the enemy scrap launchers is broken. It will come back, and it's already coming back, so about 40% HP, so we're gonna have to keep firing, at least while the enemy, oh, that poor Gorger. They were trying to target the I'm still laughing about that one in particular. Target the scrap launcher, and then the Gorger's getting in the way. Yeah, if you guys can keep near your army, that would be swell. Please do so. I think this is working out pretty well for us, and for whatever reason, it looks like the scrap launchers didn't want to move far enough ahead to actually fire back on our great cannons. I guess they really wanted our artillery rather than they wanted our infantry rather than our artillery, which were hidden from them. I also decided to summon our elemental bear with the hopes of distracting or otherwise attacking said scrap launchers, and is going to charge them, ignoring those engorgers. It looks like they're going to get at least one shot off. Yeah, definitely can't be underestimating the scrap launchers. They do great damage to close formation infantry like we've got here. And the beginning of the thunder of guns is here. Glorious. We've had great success with this army thus far. There we go. We got our little Streltsy units on top of the hill, exchanging fire with those scrap launchers as well with the artillery. And there we go, Ice Sheet going on. Look at those bullets thundering into those ogres. We'll see whether they can breach our lines shortly, though it won't be this ogre bull unit because it just got gunned down, essentially. In terms of our setup, we actually have a lot more units over on this side, primarily to protect the center and the artillery, while there's a lot less here. Another reason for that is we have our reinforcements coming in from this side as well, so they can reinforce this line if it were to get breached. Our Lord is out front, although this is kind of accidental. I mostly sent Beledna out front to cast ice sheets as far as possible to distract the enemy for, again, as long as possible, which did work out, though she did apparently get caught by the saber tusks, which I guess run faster than warbears. I love watching these battle lines. It's glorious. Oh, it's a little bit hard to see with all the flowers and grass peeking through this tundra biome that we got going on here. Scrap launchers missing here just as the iron gets charged into the line and actually start distracting our Streltsy and likely preventing them from firing. Oh, this one's still firing. Looks like we're still getting a few shots off. Maybe they can be held off by our armored Cossars over on this side. Our line may be breached, but our garrison is almost here to reinforce, though I'm not sure how much benefit we're actually going to get out of them, i.e. whether this battle will still be going by the time they get here. Speaking of getting there, our Demigryph Knights, also Slaneshi Giggle obviously, our Demigryph Knights are heading out of the force and are going to hit those enemy lead belchers as the artillery are already beginning to do so. We can see the damage coming in on the lead belchers and the little Groms, I guess, firing on them as well. Obviously, those are by far the most threatening units on the field, and they have to be destroyed before they do too much damage to our artillery. Or our infantry, rather. I suppose following, in terms of threateningness, the Nobler scrap launchers. If those were allowed free reign, they would also be racking up the kill counts. You gotta love those ice sheets. It's such a great spell. Like, I was never expecting the spell to be so good, although I probably should have, because I have a tendency to prefer cheap spammable spells, like Phos Protection is one of my favorite spells, and it isn't even a damaging spell, and same thing with this, although obviously Phos Protection is a little bit more expensive than the 2 or 3 mana it costs to cast an Ice Sheet, but you gotta love the thing. Especially if you have several of the Ice Switches in your, or an Ice Switch and Frost Maiden in your army, which allows you to repeatedly cast those. Alrighty, now it's time to move our Tzar Garden, who have not really gotten to play in this particular battle as yet. They're just moving forward. They were hoping to distract the enemy or hold the enemy if they were to get to this part of the battle line, but they never did. It looks like this portion of the battlefield is the only one that actually managed to have some melee contact, really. Speaking of melee contact, the enemy have failed, our garrison has arrived, and this portion of the battlefield appears to be ours. The enemy has also not been able to commit Scrag the Slaughterer to the battle. This was sort of accidental, or a happy accident, I suppose. I decided to send the Cosified Dervishes and the Winged Lancers from the reinforcements around the battle lines and to hit this enemy unit of lead belchers as well as that Nobler scrap launcher, which had then hid behind this forest and was immune to the artillery, and that did work out quite well. Our Demigryph Knights are wreaking absolute havoc with the enemy lead belchers, and so are our artillery pieces, and it looks like the enemy actually sent one of its tyrants to try to deal with the Demigryphs, although that seems like a terrible idea, because the tyrant would just get killed by them. They're essentially specialized for this sort of thing. Though obviously they'd be better off fighting against lead belchers, would still take them quite a while to fight a tyrant. I generally really like, or You know, the Demigryphs sort of show how effective they are as compared to something like Mournfangs against single targets, because so many more Demigryph Knights can attack an enemy than Mournfangs, so they just get in each other's way. Anyway, the battle is over, the enemy has chain routed, and it turned out to be a surprisingly easy one, in the sense that, yeah, our gunners just obliterated the enemy lines. Though I think, you know, that's happened several times with Boledna's army at this point, even if it isn't to the degree of Uragni's force as yet, it's still pretty damn solid. But Uragni has the advantage of those Hellfire rockets, and to be fair, those wouldn't have been as effective against the Ogres, I would think, anyway. Though I think I have seen the Hellfires do quite a bit of damage to regular Ogre Bolts units, but certainly not against something like Iron Guts or anything really heavily armored. Alrighty, there we go. Let's just speed up the rest of this. We're gonna chase a few more units down. Oh, there's a unit of Courtiers still in here somewhere. Yeah, they are unbreakable after all. Probably wondering what the heck happened to all of their armies. They were just sitting around in this forest. I think they were killing those Kossovite dervishes and those winged lancers that were going after their lead belchers, which did work out quite well. And now they just don't know what to do. They come out of the forest completely surrounded on all sides by absolutely tons of Kislevites, and the army of the Kislevites is not really hurt. Oh, this is the last guy, looks like, and down you go, buddy. Hey, at least you managed to make it to the melee line. After all that, the rightmost flank actually gets hit in melee a little bit. You actually got pretty beat up by those lead belchers. But anyway, speed it back up to max, chase everything down. It looks like we won't be able to get Scrag because our Demigryphs aren't here, and the Ice Witch has to be the one to do this. And this isn't even Boledna the Defender. This is our recruiter. And Boledna's over here getting some heals. Yeah, maybe I should have sent Boledna out there, but to be fair, the Ice Witches really don't hit that hard. That's not what they're supposed to do, at least not in melee, so we probably wouldn't have been able to kill Scrag that way. Anyway, I a little bit regret not sending one of the Demigryphs out that way, but to be fair, all of the lead belchers were on this side of the map, so I feel like it made sense to prioritize those. We could always auto-resolve Scrag to death afterwards. Anyway, there we go, decisive victory. Unsurprisingly, I think our losses were pretty minimal, but let's just make sure that that is in fact the case. Alrighty, well, once again, Boledna's army showed what it's made of. We got very little use out of the garrison, I will grant, but 110, I believe, were the losses from our main army, and less than 10%, or roughly 10%, which is pretty damn good. The enemy got very little value out of Scrag because he got distracted by the dervishes and the winged lancers out of the garrison, and otherwise the main enemy forces were destroyed, though unfortunately we couldn't quite catch Scrag himself. Now, you know what? It's not enough money for us to bother pardoning those captives. I think we'll use Salyak Provides, because we're gonna want to kill these guys. As in, we're going to want to auto-resolve them to death. Another Knight Squire, an Iron Curse Icon, a Servant, a Kislevite Kossar, and that looks like that's it. Not that it was a bad set of things. Then you... Ooh, wait. You are going to cancel your recruitment. Then you're going to go here.
On your feet, Kislevites.
To leech XP. Then we're going to send you to attack Fogan.
The blizzard, take them.
And auto-resolve them to death. Nobody dies. Good.
Remember your training.
And then we're going to... Ooh, 9% on Salyak Provides. Very nice, based off this garbage. Very nice indeed. And a free Dawnstone out of it as well. I love it. And a free Talisman of Endurance. Not that you are going to keep it, mind you. War Coordination lost for Hockland. Oh well. Then what we'll want to do is kill Scrag. So you're going to move here. And we're going to have Boledna Gospodar attack you. And auto-resolve this as well.
Winter fights with us.
Beautiful. And defeated this Scrag the Slaughter. You already have that trait, I believe, because you definitely should have defeated Scrag at this point. We are in March stance, so these guys could in theory attack us, but you know what? Even if they do, I think Beledna's got them. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. And then what we'll do, and I mean Beledna the Defender, not Mini Beledna here. Actually, speaking of Mini Beledna, what do you have? Fighter, Vanguard, oh, you're pretty terrible, I gotta say. Order, Renowned and Feared, oh, you're the Recruiter. Yes, you know what, I'm gonna rename you to Beledna the Recruiter. Just so that I don't confuse you with other units. And then, I think we don't need you anymore, at least not right now. So what we're gonna do is we're going to delete you and increase our money back to a hopefully decent state. So let's take off all of that, and then goodbye for now. There we go, 5.9k, not too bad. And plus, we've got a few more units or a few more armies that we're going to delete. Masya is going to get deleted, and then, well, this is just a temporary force, so that'll get deleted as well. We do have a habit of getting temporary forces up and running. And then, of course, once those guys are deleted, we'll also be getting a new Lord up. I keep clicking technologies. We're going to be getting you, Svetlana Stefanovich, with the melee attack and the upkeep for infantry units. Yeah, you'll have a decent amount of Tsar Guard, I think, and maybe some Ice Guard as well, because upkeep for infantry should count for that. Yeah. And then hopefully we can get some nice Frost Maidens that buff those units as well. Anyway, oh damn, we're running out of time here. I believe that was it. Yes, that was indeed it. Alrighty, unassigned skill points. Beledna Golovac, who are you? Oh, you're Rogni's Beledna. Yeah, we'll assign some points eventually. It's been a while. I will wait, you never had Guardian's Call? That's weird. Did I just plain forget to do that for you? Fighter, Glacial Blaster, you don't have very good abilities. Not that your Rogni needs them, mind you. Alright, fine, just go for Guardian's Call, because apparently I forgot it completely. And you have a Warbear, yes? Yes. Honestly, I've not been really modifying your Rogni's army lately. Oh, and what? You don't have Immortality? Mostly because really nothing it's faced lately has been any kind of threat to it. So, you know, might not be all that surprising. Anyway, you can have Conviction, I go for Devastating Charge. You're gonna get maxed out on everything anyway. Yeah. There's nothing here that's all that useful. So we'll get Conviction and then maybe Cleanse Corruption or Specialist just in case in the extremely unlikely event that we need to wound somebody or something along those lines. Anyway, I believe that's it and we're ready to end the turn. Outpost upgrades available. We're going to skip because we don't have any good ones. Svetlana, oh. We might want to get a mortar up and running, although, to be fair... Well, actually we don't have the Allegiance anyway. I was just thinking maybe we should get something else, like a Hellstorm, because it's just plain superior to the mortar. Although in sieges, these are pretty damn good. Anyway, I guess with that, we'll end the turn. Let's see if anybody attacks us. Oh, let's see what Pinforks does. Since we did summon a unit there. And he's actually going to attack the Temple of Heinkel, okay. Fair enough, and with a pretty damn decent force, I gotta say. He's not going to siege at all, which, you know, is actually smart because we get a lot of defensive supplies up and running. Okay. Well, I guess we'll fight this cinematically. This is a little bit concerning. Damn, we never got to recruit anything with you. I was hoping he'd go for the other place because that we recruited here. Oh, well. Let's see. Scarecrow banner on you. Standard of the Empty Step on the Winged Lancers. Leadership definitely on the Ice Guard, and you know what? Actually, no, I'm mistaken. Leadership on U2 Tsar Guard, and then one on the Ice Guard. Granted, they're the least likely to rout in the first place, but we need them on the field for as long as possible. Now, yeah, we got a lot of bombardment that we're going to need to be careful of. We're going to really need to be careful of the Flamers of Tzeentch. Oh wow, look at how are they so cheap? I guess that's just the AI cheating. These really probably shouldn't cost 44, right? Or 74, huh? Interesting. Interesting. Anyway, well, I guess one more cinematic battle is always a good thing, so let's get right to it.
They will die by blade and by frost.
Ah, they will die by blade and by frost. The same thing Beledna, the defenders, said in our previous battle. It looks like today is a day of blade and frost. Though guns, to be fair, should probably be added to that whole description. But anyway, the Temple of Heinkel. Yet again, the settlement has Korn's gaze. It looks like as the garrison is forced to ever fight against non-stop invasions from the demonic legions. Pretty damn fun, pretty damn fun, and it looks like this is going to be a pretty difficult battle. I mean, the enemy has a lot of elite units in their army, though we have faced off against similar sorts of compositions in the past, especially with regards to Doom Knights and the Exalted Lords of Change. I don't think we faced off against this many Flamers of Tzeentch, and thus I think I'm going to try to focus those as much as possible in this particular battle. They're obviously pretty damn scary units if we allow them into our infantry. But anyway, here we go. The Doom Knights are going to charge into our battle lines, and I've actually moved apart as decent amount of our units. You can see that there's a lot of spacing between them. We faced off against enough Tzeentchian forces to know the dangers of that damn bombardment spell and just how many units it can kill if they stand close to each other. I also wanted to try whether the ice sheet would actually slow down the aerial units, and unfortunately it doesn't. I was 99% sure it wouldn't, but I just wanted to try it out just in case. It would be weird if it did, but maybe it would have had some kind of effect. And there we go, we gotta love that charge of the Doom Knights. If Rule of Cool applies, Doom Knights are definitely one of the best units. I freaking love them. And I feel like I say that every time I see them. Anyway, they have dropped down together with a bunch of Screamers to help them out, though we do have quite a line of ranged units that are gonna focus them down at the same time. Some blue fire coming in from the enemy, Flamers, and thus we summoned our Snow Leopard. We summoned our Snow Leopard to charge them directly and to distract them while we hopefully destroy the Doom Knights. Speaking of the Doom Knights, they have been focused down quite a bit, with one of the units nearly dead and the other one to follow suit shortly. So this is working out so far, though we have taken a bit of a mauling ourselves. One of our units of armored costers is basically dead to those Doom Knights, and probably at least in part to the friendly fire. Our Zargard, of course, though, are a lot tankier and managed to hold off against both Doom Knights and 2 units of Screamers attacking them at the same time, and only 75% damage, as compared to the armored costers basically getting killed. So yeah, pretty big difference in tankiness there. On the bright side, this does mean that this portion of the battlefield is essentially ours. I also decided to summon our elemental bear over here. It didn't really do anything in the sense that it didn't achieve any kills, but this wasn't its purpose. It simultaneously distracted 4 units plus the Exalted Lord of Change on this side, allowing us essentially to commit our entire army over on this side of the battlefield and kill those pesky Doom Knights before they could, harass our rear guard and all that sort of thing. I also charged both our units of, or 2 of our units of Kosovo Dervishes into an enemy Flamers of Tzeentch rather, and they did manage to destroy the unit, so I'm pretty happy with the way that worked out as well. We also have our other 2 units of Cav that are waiting back here. I'm essentially hoping that the unit of Flamers gets exposed and separated away from the other units, and then we can charge it with those ranged units as well. The Kosovo Dervishes are done with that Flamer unit, are going to go against that pink Horror unit, and here it looks like those Screamers are just about to fall. Doom Knights are getting the heck out of there, and Screamers are in the process of getting banished. There we go. All slowly drifting down to the ground. And now that those guys are done, our Saber Tusk, our Snow Leopard, every time. What is wrong with me? Now that those guys are gone, we can charge those Flamers directly and once again prevent all that crazy amount of anti-infantry damage from those. Man, I really want to build an army with, like, Oracles of Tzeentch together with some Scave and just some Warp Fire Throwers and stuff like that. Just an all-out Burnination army. Or even some Lizard Salamanders and Ancient Salamanders or Fire Leech Bolas. That'd be pretty fun. Anyway, oh, it looks like finally the enemy's gonna bombard one of our locations. Kossars with spears. Let's see how much damage that unit takes after it gets bombarded. Also, I probably want to mention that the enemy does have another third of their army over on this side of the battlefield, which we completely ignored. And as you may have noticed in this Temple of Heinkel battle, that this is like the 5th one. It's got to be like the 5th one. I always ignore this portion of the battlefield because it takes the enemy quite a while to reach us, and they have to go through this winding pathway, only to end up at this choke point where we have our other unit of Zargard and the Patriarch. So the enemy will probably have to get through that. Or that, with regards to the Armored Kossars. And we can also see that unit of Flamers, which our Winged Lancers are currently shadowing, as I was talking about earlier. Anyway, time for that bombardment to come down on our poor Kossars, rather. And actually did clip the other unit, though not by much. Only a dozen or so Kossars dead. This one is pretty much destroyed, though. Yeah, one cast of that basically drops the unit down to like 10% or something along those lines. It looks like the enemy Lord has also arrived. The Exalted Lord of Change dropping down among our armored Kossars and our Zargard, who are in melee. But mostly it looks like to try to focus down our Lord. We are casting Frostblades on our Zargard, who are going to try to block the enemy Lord in, while all of our range units from everywhere are going to try to gun it down. The enemy's cast a Gehenna's Golden Hounds on top of another one of our units of Kossars, which is actually doing pretty good. Damn. Very nice cast. I have terrible luck with moving vortexes like that, and I guarantee that if I had cast that, it would have immediately moved in the opposite direction, done no damage there. That's why I really prefer the Pit of Shades style vortexes that don't move. You just wait for the enemy to blob up and then cast it there. Anyway, this Lord of Change is doing a pretty good job in being tanky. He's still alive after about a minute of sustained fire from all of our units, but he's starting to drop. Our armored Kossars are very badly damaged, though. He's basically killed them, and the Zargard are slowly dropping, though we do still have plenty of ranged units to keep firing on this thing. He almost did manage to kill our Lord, though, which I immediately tried to run away. As I was talking about over on this side, the enemy Chaos Knights did charge through and get bogged down on those Zargard. The enemy also sent in its iridescent horror foolishly into the center of our settlement here, which is obviously going to get gunned down by armored Kossars, which are over here, as well as the well, any Kossars really that we could spare over on this side. These guys are pretty fragile. I think that was, I don't know, maybe a minute of sustained fire from it. Certainly a lot more fragile than an Exalted Lord of Change, and down it goes. Over here, we've also managed to finally catch the enemy Flamers, and in fact catch 2 units of enemy Flamers, the Kossovite Dervishes for one, and the Winged Lancers for the other, which is really, really valuable, because I think that was the 4th and last of the Flamer units, and thus the main threat is going to be off the field together with the enemy Exalted Lord of Change in a few seconds. I was going to get one cast off before he dies. Either way, he drops. A lovely job, everybody. Those wings remain on the field. I still don't know whether this was intentional or whether this was a bug or not. Why would the feathers remain and nothing else? Alrighty, well done, everybody. This is actually going surprisingly well. Despite the fact that we got a few casts off, I honestly kind of turned out that we maybe didn't need them. I guess we'll see what the final tally is. These guys got very badly beat up, but they were fighting the vast majority of the enemy army, all their elites, with the exception of the Chaos Knights, of course. Oh, and it looks like for whatever reason, our Ice Witch decides to run away, even though she wasn't under threat. Maybe she failed a cast, because she did cast the Winter's Heart here on top of those Chaos Knights. And together with that, they die, and our Zargard, rather, were victorious. Of course, they were getting bombarded by our piercing tower with its lightning bolt, so that was certainly helping out. You gotta love this choke point. I feel very comfortable on the Temple of Heinkel battle map at this point, because we've once again done this battle so many times, and there we go. A victory. Well done to the Zargard for holding a line. All the range units, all the cavalry units for destroying all of their flamers. I think everybody did their jobs. Though I still, you know what? Actually, no. I was about to say that I still think that the Kossovite Dervishes should be replaced by horse archers, but in this particular situation, they were really quite helpful in melee charging those Flamers of Tzeentch. So there we go, Kazbay dervishes redeem themselves, and the Temple of Heinkel stands yet again. I wish the battle had ended on cue there, but I guess we're gonna chase down a few of those units. Yeah, you guys are not gonna catch those Chaos Knights. There we go. A Pyrrhic victory, unsurprisingly, but let's face it, their stack was a lot more elite than ours, and I'm pretty damn happy with the result. Alrighty, there we go, yet again, not too bad. I gotta say, I have a bad habit of underestimating the Temple of Heinkel, because I think that the mage here wasn't actually necessary at the end of the day. Kind of wasted a lot of cash just by having her here, although I suppose the banners that she provided did help. Yeah, and if these guys couldn't have taken the Temple of Heinkel even without the Lord, they really, really couldn't have taken the Frozen Landing with its 4 Ice Guard and more elite units. Yeah, we got a really good value out of our cav this time around. The enemy Flamers did absolutely nothing in terms of damage, and most of the damage came from the enemy Lord, 15k, because of all that nonsense spell work. Plus the bombardment as well. I think most of our losses actually came from, yeah, just the Lord and the bombardment. The army did not do all that much, although some of the horrors did pretty good. 75? Well, one of the units of horrors did pretty good. 25 apiece for you two. Anyway, either way, it was a pretty fun battle, and it's nice to see the Temple of Heinkel still standing tall. Healing up is pointless because, damn, yeah, I shouldn't have done this, because now we can't heal the troops. Whatever, pardon the captives, I guess. And this army does live... Oh, another army? Oh, it's a little ambush. Okay, you know what? We'll auto-resolve this one. I don't think we need to fight another. You have no magical attack, so we'll give you the Lichbone Pennant, and then we'll give the Banner of Prague to the Patriarch, I guess. Although, to be honest, you probably don't need the Banner of Prague. If I remember, I'm gonna remove it from the Lord and give it to another Lord, because, yeah. Anyway, I'll resolve this.
Remember your training.
Wow. What the hell is this? Auto-resolve is so freaking weird, man. These guys got all the kills, and they took all the damage. Why? On what basis? The little Groms completely outrange you. Not that I'm complaining, it's just very strange. Very strange. 1 kill for the steam tank. Come on, man. You gotta try a little harder than that. Yeah, pointless. Just execute those captives. Anyway, let's see if anything's left on this particular turn. And what is this? Ooh, allegiance plus 50 with Ostland. Oh, but I don't know whether we currently have max allegiance with Ostland in the first place. Oh well. Wayward Royalty. During routine patrols, our Lancers discovered a young Imperial Duchess lying half dead in the Oblast. Oh, we've already read this a couple times. Let's just go send word to her family and hope that we don't have max Ostland allegiance anyway. I have no idea. It really should show you rather than just doing that, you know what I mean? Alexander Christina. Oh, wait, what? That ambush was foiled? Oh, in the sense that, like, you got attacked. Hey, and you didn't get the plague. Beautiful. Well done, Alexander Christina. You're going up to Black Fang, which is currently plagued up for 2 more turns. We could grab the Eagle Ares, but I'm a little bit worried that Gutblat would then attack us here. That's part of Karak Vlag, eh? You know what? If anything... Okay, we got some training complete. If anything, we probably need another army, another lord here. Oh, you know what we could do? Since this is plagued up, we could move you to Zarnagrand camp and destroy it next turn, because we're going to declare war on Greece's Goldtooth very shortly. In fact, the turn after this one, I believe. Boris, you're going to suffer a little bit of attrition going to Grimtop, but I think this is worth our time. Anyway, I don't want to digress too much because, well, there's a lot to do, but at the same time... we are very much out of time, so I'm going to call this episode here. Outside resolve that.
Smite Kislev's accursed foes.
There we go. I'm gonna call this episode here. Next time we will, well, probably deal with you. Oh, damn, I wanted to grab Sioktraken, but if you're coming down here, then Sioktraken's in danger. Maybe we'll have to wait for Masya. In fact, maybe we just delete Masya and have Svetlana capture Sioktraken instead. Either way, next time, Uragni is going to march down to Sarl territories. Beledna is more or less done with the ogres, though I think maybe we'll attack Norden, and just so that there's, you know, fewer ogre armies around. Ooh, it's got a bunch of giants and stonehorns as well, so that might make for a very nice fight. Yeah, so we could do that, and then move back up north to start dealing with all of these forces here, because they're just going to keep raiding and annoying us, and really, if these guys attack Fort Ostrosk or something, they'd probably win. They have a decent amount of bloodthirsters and larger units that we wouldn't really be able to hold, even though we do have walls all over the place. Anyway, lots and lots of stuff to do, in particular for Beledna, and, ooh, we don't want you taking Waldenhof from us. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. They're gonna try to take Waldenhof from us. Yeah, let's just command you to go after the Sarl here. Oh, damn, Sarl are gonna go after Bosenfels, which can't defend itself. I guess we summon another temporary lord here. Anyway, once again, calling it here. Too much stuff to do. Next time, lots and lots of battles. Stay tuned for more bears and Boris and Uragni. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.